name is Jennifer Downs, and I am teaching on the Tompkins Mini Lesson Strategy Collaborative Books, strategy number 9 in our Tompkins strategy book. The objective I have here is the students will categorize story events chronologically with a minimum of 3 out of 4 being correct. My students today are second grade students. Hello, class. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Today I brought a couple of apples.
Yay.
And just like Johnny's apple seed in my pouch, I have apple seeds. So I wanted you guys to see these. See just how little those apple seeds are, but what a big fruit they create.
Oh, good.
And these are Yummy Honeycrisp, my personal favorite. And we just recently read earlier today our Johnny Appleseed, the Tall Tale Retold and Illustrated by Stephen Kellogg book. And this was a really neat book, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Can you express for me what you remember about this book?
Pictures.
Michael, do you have something you want to share? What was something that happened in the book?
He loved fruit, apples.
Okay.
And so for his family, they would get together and store them all winter long in their basement. And they would have applesauce and apple butter.
Okay. Very good. Kimberly, do you have anything you want to share from the book?
We shared with the Indians and he made a way for people that are coming in
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. So he built a bridge with the Native American people and with the pioneer families we learned about, and even creating orchards with the intention of helping the settling families. So that was a very neat part of the story. I agree. We talked a little bit about apple trees and fruit, and we were talking a little bit about those, and I started thinking it would help you guys to see exactly what the life cycle of an apple tree looks like, and how come when a person plants apple trees, it can affect generations to come, and not just those people that live there right then. So I have a little video explaining the life cycle of an apple tree. If you could go ahead and just look up there, I will get it started for you. You can see right now that it is growing. That little seed that we just held up, look what it's going to grow into. What do you see helping the tree right now?
rain and sunshine.
That's right, rain and sunshine.
Time.
Time. That's right. It takes time for them to grow. What do you see on the tree right now? Raise your hand if you think you know. Well, it's timing right now. Does anybody have any thoughts on what's on the tree? Michael?
Flowers.
Okay. Kimberly?
A bumblebee.
Okay. And now we see the apples are growing right on the tree, right?
The birds.
And the birds come and enjoy the apple's fruit. Okay, thank you guys.
Yay.
So we saw that the apple tree really helps people for a lot of years to come, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because does the apple tree, when it stops living, does it stop having an impact on the future of the world? Why not? Does anybody have any ideas on that? Michael?
I do.
Okay, what's your idea?
That when the apple tree quits living, it still has seeds.
Hey, the seeds went on, didn't they? And they created more apple trees.
Yeah.
Very good.
And those birds take it and spread the seeds around.
Yes, and so what Johnny Appleseed's life meant was that there were lots of trees that had a beginning to their life. They were at one point planted. Then they had a middle years to their life where they produced fruit and helped other trees grow because of their seeds. And then there's a point where every tree comes to an end as well. Either a storm hits it, or it has to be cleared away for building, or maybe it gets some kind of like disease or rot inside the tree and needs to be cut down. But even though its life ends, all the good things it brought to the world keep going. Well, that's kind of how we see Johnny Appleseed. Because he had a beginning to his life, like we talked about in our story, and he had a middle to his life where lots of things happened, and his life eventually ended. But the stories about him, kind of like the seeds to our apple tree that we just saw, they just kept going and going and going and affecting lots and lots of people for years and years to come. So we see all these good things that have come out of Johnny Appleseed's life, that even though his life had an end at one point, his stories keep going on. And some of them we don't know if they're exactly true, because there's some legends about him and things that maybe have been exaggerated a little bit through time. But we know that there was a sequence to his life that led to a whole bunch of neat events. And it's the same way with apple trees. That's why it's kind of cool how they come together like that, because the apple tree is a beginning and a middle and an end, but then it just keeps going because of all the seeds it left behind. So we think that's one of the neat things about Johnny Appleseed. But you know, we talk about stories in class a lot, and it's really important in second grade that we understand that stories have some things that happen in the beginning of the story, some things happen in the middle of the story, and some things happen at the end of the story. That way we understand kind of more what the story means and where it's going and what the point of it is when we really understand the sequence of events. Now, we talked about sequence with our vocabulary lesson. Does anybody remember what the sequence means?
Order.
Michael, would you like to raise your hand? What's your
Order.
Okay, and order. That's a good way of putting it. Kimberly, any other thoughts on that?
There's usually only one.
Okay. Yes, there's one way it all came to pass. There was one beginning, one middle, the end. And sometimes there'll be lots of things in the middle of the story and a few in the beginning that you kind of remember were early in his life, in this case, or at the end of his life. There were just a few main things. Well, I'm going to give you some paper and crayons, because we're going to make a collaborative book as a class. So this is really fun. If we had all of our students here today, each person would only do 1 or 2 pictures, but because there's just a couple of us today, I'm going to let you each do 4 pictures. And then I want you to put your pictures in order of when they happened in the story. So you have to illustrate for me 4 pictures and create sentences that go with those pictures, just one sentence. And we're going to do this kind of an abbreviated version today and do it pretty quick, okay? Normally we would get to take a little more time on this. And here's some crayons for you.
How many pieces of paper do
You
take?
each get 4.
Okay.
Okay? 4 for you. And then what we get to do, after you do your pictures and put them in the right sequence,
Thank you.
I'm going to get to look at them and make sure that you got them in the right order and help you out if you didn't, because then we're going to take them all, put them together, and create our own class book about the Johnny Appleseed story and about his life. I like what I'm seeing, good job. And then just a quick sentence, and we'll go on to the second picture. Like I said, I would normally do this, take a little more time on this, but we're doing kind of a special way today to make it a little quicker of a process. Okay, and by now you should be finishing up the first couple pictures. are very good. I love what I'm seeing. Really taking a lot of effort at it. It's very good. I know when we read the story, there were lots of exciting illustrations in the book, and some of you look like you're recreating some of those things you remember from the pictures in the story. Very good work I see here. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up your last picture and just do a quick sentence for me if you don't have to do your picture this time. This particular strategy would typically take a little more time than what we have. So I'm doing a little bit of a modification on this to allow them to still have enough information for me to assess and still stay within my time constraints. So, okay. Would you place yours in chronological order, meaning the beginning to the middle to the end order? Do you have them for me? Okay, let me look at yours and see how we did here. You know what? You got all of yours in order. Good job. Love what you did there. Very nice.
Yay! Mommy will be happy.
Okay, very, very good. You both discussed some of the same events, how he was born, his family loved apples. You both got all of them in the right sequence, so I'm very proud of you. Very good listening and really paying attention to the text in our discussion. And we both talked about how he was able to use his love for trees and planting and seeds to help lots of people. These are great illustrations, really good work. Now we would put them together as a class to create a class book about Johnny Appleseed. So I'm going to work on that real quick for you guys. And then, as a class, we're going to go ahead and do some hole punches and bind this together and keep it in our class to look at when we want to remember the neat things we learned about Johnny Appleseed. Can you assess what we learned today? Michael, would you like to assess something you learned today?
Yes. I love the apples and that we learn like the history of the apples because I love the cider mill.
Okay.
And so for me to learn about the apples was cool.
Wonderful. Thank you. Kimberly, do you have anything else you want to share about what you learned today?
That we still benefit from what he did several years
Sure, yes. His love for planting orchards and apple trees really helps all of us even now. That's why we get to enjoy talking about all the fun stories that make up his life and have our fun read-alouds that we're doing this week on our Johnny Appleseed unit. Yes.
I like that he thought of the future.
Yes.
That he planted the seeds thinking a long time from now people will be moving here. The
Yes.
story of Ohio
Yes,
and
that's
what
right.
he did in the Valley of Ohio.
He did. He thought long term. That's a very good point. And in one of our lessons we're doing this week, we're talking about being a world changer and someone who does things that help people to come. I think that's a great point. Thank you guys so much. You did a great job. I love our class book. I'll give you a round of applause. Very good.